Hola, hola mi gente de Wine News TV, estamos una vez más en el hórreo de B. Suárez, pero hoy nos vamos on the go, estamos en plataformas de audio. Me han pedido ustedes que quieren escucharme y no necesariamente verme mientras hacen ejercicio, mientras están manejando, mientras se bañan. Alguien me dijo el otro día que ponía mis entrevistas en YouTube mientras se bañaba y me dijo, bueno, pero quería ver la pantalla y me cayó jabón en el ojo. Ok, pues estamos hoy haciendo contenido en audio. Voy a, por supuesto, compartir en redes sociales algo de lo que estoy haciendo con el señor Thibaut Marquis.
Sí.
Lo dije bien. He's the director, we're going to switch into English now. He's the director for North America for Louis Jadot. You're based out of New York.
Yep.
And it's so great to have you here, my friend. I was telling you off camera, or better said, off microphone, because we're not recording in video, that Louis Jadot to me is very dear to my heart because I've been doing wine blogging for the past 15 years, 17 years actually. And to me, this has been the most endearing or the most important Burgundian domain or house, just because of the very, very large variety of labels that you get here in Puerto Rico through V. Suárez. And I want to start off by knowing a bit or sharing the story about Louis Jadot with our listeners. What can you tell me about the history of this domain or house?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's my first time in Puerto Rico. I'm very excited to be here and sharing the history of Louis Jadot. And as you said, we have so much history with this label. We have in the market about 50 different cuvées, but in total, on a good year, we produce 120. So we are just tasting a few of what has been produced at the winery every year. The history goes back to really 1826 with the first vineyard that was purchased by Mr. Louis-Henri Denis Jadot. That's a big name. He was from Belgium, and he fell in love not only with Burgundy, but also with a lady in Burgundy, and her family had some vineyards, and they offered them as a wedding gift the first vineyard, the Clos des Ursules in Beaune, in 1826. Not bad for a wedding gift.
I've had that wine many times, and it's very dear to the property. I was
Yes.
at a tasting that was conducted here about 7-8 years ago, maybe, and they said that Clos de la Ursula was the original plot, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's a monopole for Louis Jadot. That means we are the only producer to be able to produce the wine in Beaune Premier Cru, Clos des Ursules. And yeah, we are very happy with this wine. Every year it's a classic. It's one of the classics. It's in Beaune, and Beaune is really the center of where everything started for Louis Jadot. So from 1826 to 1859, Mr. Jadot and his wife were basically building the winery and building the company. And in 1859, that's when they launched the winery as a négoce. And the label was created back in 1859. I'm sure you all remember the label and you recognize it with the Bacchus head in the center.
Yes, it's that label is, you were mentioning it just now. It's probably the most distinctive thing about Louis Jadot, the Bacchus head. That's what it is.
Exactly, yeah, it's the god of wine.
Mm-hmm.
No other person than putting the god of wine on the label. And Bacchus' head was a drawing from Mr. Jadot's wife, and it's still the case. It's still a drawing on our label.
So the label reflects a drawing that was actually painted or was scribbled or was designed by Mr. Louis Jadot.
Yeah, by his wife.
By his
Yes,
wife.
exactly.
By his wife.
In
Amazing.
1859, and nothing has changed. So we have, as I said, more than 100 cuvées products that we produce every year. And they all have, for the majority of them, 90% of them have the Bacchus head on the label.
Yeah.
We do have some other wines from purchases that don't have the Bacchus head, but mostly people recognize the label and they trust it, you know. So over time, over the history of Jadot going through the négoce business to the ownership business. So in the early...
What was négoce? What's the difference between owner and négoce?
Right, that's a good question. So back in the early 1900s, most of the growers were farmers, and they knew how to grow grapes in the vineyards. They knew how to take care of their vineyards, but they didn't really know how to make wine. They were not enologists. They were not really knowledgeable.
They were
about
farmers.
Yeah,
farmers.
exactly. They
growing
were farmers.
The grapes.
Yeah,
Okay.
growing grapes. and they didn't have any knowledge of making wine, and then they didn't have knowledge of selling the wines. So they were not as knowledgeable about marketing and sales. So that's when the négociants, the big négoce houses like Jadot, Drouin, Latour, and so on, were established in the late 1800s, early 1900s, because they needed to sell the wine on behalf of these farmers.
So they expanded and they added an arm.
Yes.
To the farmer side, they added the sales
exactly,
component.
the winemaking and the sales.
Okay.
So these négociant houses will buy the grapes, will make the wine in their facilities, and then sell the wines on their labels without the name of the growers. And these would be long-term contracts with growers, so the growers knew every year they will have income coming in.
Exactly.
Even though maybe it would be a bad vintage or a difficult year, you know. So these farmers really relied on these négociant houses. And that's how it started. So Jadot started that way. So first, they started with buying some vineyards, some iconic vineyards, like the Beaune Clos des Ursules that we mentioned, Corton Charlemagne, they bought the Chevalier Montrachet, Les Demoiselles. These are the iconic wines and vineyards that they purchased, and then they
still owe them to this day?
Exactly, yes, they still own them. And then they launched the négoce. And over time, négoce grew a lot, especially with the Macon Village, and I think that's the first one we are
well,
tasting.
let's a good segue, man. Your experiences.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to Puerto Rico, Thibaut.
Gracias.
I love this clean nose. There's that beautiful lemon oil. Just love the minerality of this wine. The Burgundy and whites to me are very dear. Gorgeous, gorgeous nose. What can you tell me about this Macon Village Chardonnay?
Yeah, so the Macon Village is actually our number one selling wine for us at Jadot. It has been for many years the number one French white wine sold in the US market. So the idea is to create a very crisp, fresh, mineral white wine from the Mâconnais region. The majority of the grapes come from sourcing, so grapes we purchase from growers, and we produce the wine in our facilities, 100%. There is no oak here. It's stainless steel to really keep the freshness of the grape, the Chardonnay grape. So it's a true Chardonnay from Burgundy without the oak, just the freshness and the minerality. A wine that you can have on its own, great to drink on the patio and a summer
Lovely
day.
acidity,
Yeah.
acidity, very bright, very juicy.
Yeah.
It pairs with
Anything.
With anything, exactly. Conversation with friends on the patio. It's perfect for our weather here in Puerto Rico. This is 2022. It's so remarkably fresh. Yeah. How much does this retail for in the U.S. market? Because it's similar to here.
Yeah, it would be about $14.
What?
Yeah,
$14.
Yeah.
Jesus, my God, this is fantastic. I'm gonna post that in my social media later. This is I thought that because it was 14, 15, 10 years ago, you've kept the price low.
We are able to continue the sourcing with great growers, and we are able to purchase quite a bit of grapes from them. So the price remains, even though we've seen some difficult years in Burgundy in the past few years with global warming and all the changes happening, like in 2021 when we lost about 70% of the Chardonnay grape.
Oh, wow.
Because of frost. This year in 2023, so far everything is going well in the vineyard.
Good.
Yeah, so we're very happy. There was no hail, no frost so much. So we're very happy with that vintage too.
To me, this is the perfect, and this is the segue to my next question. To me, this is the perfect in terms of price, in terms of quality, in terms of purity of what it is and what it's supposed to be. It's a perfect entry wine for those who want to explore Burgundy whites.
Exactly.
It's perfect to showcase, obviously, on the un-oak area. This is gorgeous. It's just fantastic. Then my next question is in terms of how many countries is Luis Jadot in? Like how many? Do you know?
We are in about 120 countries.
120
yes.
countries. Yeah.
The idea is not to really add on more markets. The idea is to really do a good job in the markets we are already in and build our distribution with importers and distributors in each market. We've seen a big growth of Burgundy demand in the past few years. A few reasons. People were at home during COVID. They learned about Burgundy. They got familiar with Burgundy wines. They were drinking them at home. They were able to buy them in the stores and enjoy them at home with great cooking. Also, people changed their palate a bit. They developed their palates and their senses.
I think you're very right, and I've seen it in my interviews over the past couple of years that I've been doing this. Now people are looking for more elegance, freshness, less alcohol, perhaps more gastronomic wines. That tendency that, and I'm 45 years old, that we saw 20 years ago where people wanted concentrated, extracted, big Napa Valley, oaky wines. People are looking for more versatility, I would say.
Exactly. Wines that are a little bit more subtle, or softer, that can pair with their home cooking, that are a little bit lighter in style, that won't give them a headache after 3 glasses.
Exactly. What are we going to taste next? Because I know you have an event in about 20 minutes.
Next we are going to taste, we will start with the reds. So we are going to go into Beaujolais.
Okay.
So the Beaujolais Village is our number 1 red, sold in the U.S. market. In Puerto Rico, it's doing great as well.
I love Gamay, the Gamay grape. I just love it.
Yeah, this is Gamay 100%. This is Beaujolais Village, so it comes from multiple villages that we have sourcing from, and we have a winery in Beaujolais to produce this wine, just a winemaking facility in the Beaujolais area. And this is just a light, easy drinking red. Gamay is very enjoyable on its own, but it's also very versatile. Beaujolais Village is the wine I drink for holidays, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, because
it's fruity. It's easy to drink.
Yeah, and it can pair with many dishes. When you have 8 dishes on the table with people who like different things, you bring the Beaujolais Village.
I love this wine because it's earthy, it's fresh, it's not saturated, it's fruity, and it's again it's a great supporting actor or supporting actress to the main dish. It doesn't want to compete with the food. It's there to support the food. Obviously, having the red Pinot Noir, the red grapes, the Pinot Noir grape, which is the most famous one in Burgundy in terms of reds. What are the 2-3 things you would share with the audience about this grape, the Gamay grape?
Yeah, so Gamay it's a grape that doesn't get too tannic, so not much tannins. It has higher acidity levels. So there's not much oak used here, or less oak than with Pinot Noir. And it's a grape that will be more on the red side, red fruits, cherries, strawberries, also with some spice on the finish. And this wine actually is about $12, $14 in that price range. So it's a great, it's a great value.
This is the type of wine that it tastes, it feels very casual. You can have this with a burger, with a pizza. You can have lunch with it. You can even have a piece of fish with this. It's very, very versatile because of the price. You can drink it not at room temperature here in Puerto Rico, but slightly on the cool, the chilled area. Yeah. It's lovely. For $14, it's a beautiful.
I love to chill this in the summer. I chill it and I drink it cold even. It's delicious.
It's delicious.
And have you seen the show The Last of Us on HBO? I'm not sure if it's here.
I have seen the announcements, the trailers, but I don't think I've seen the show.
So on episode 3, they are using Louis Jadot Beaujolais Village in the show. It was a big surprise to us. We didn't know about it, but they are using the Beaujolais Village to pair with rabbit. There's a whole story about it. You should watch it. It's pretty cool to see.
You should watch. Louis Jadot is everywhere. Last night I was watching with my son a show on Apple TV called it's about traveling with Eugene Levy, this famous character from American Pie, and he travels all over the world. And he was in Finland, and they set up a very beautiful suite for him so he could watch the Aurora Borealis. And then in the shot, obviously the Bacchus head is, you cannot miss it. when he entered his suite, they had a bottle of Louis Jadot in
Yeah,
the room. I'll show it to you.
It's
in
a
a bit.
great. It's an iconic brand, you know, in the U.S., in Puerto Rico. It's well known. It's everywhere. The reason is because we make so many wines. Not to be confused with volumes, you know. We do produce some wines that are more volumes, like the Macon Village, Beaujolais Village, but the majority of the ones we produce are tiny quantities. We cover every single appellation in Burgundy. So if you start in Chablis and then you go into the Côte d'Or, Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune, we cover every single appellation from Marsanais in the north to Gevrey, Nuit Saint-Georges, Beaune, Pommard, Volnay, Meursault, Chassagne, Puligny and Centenay. We are in every appellation. And we have vineyard holdings. Nowadays, as I was mentioning before, the négoce business was very strong to establish the company. But nowadays, Louis Jadot is a majority of the domain, meaning we own the majority of the vineyards in the Côte d'Or. We have 120 hectares of vineyards that are will be certified organic next year. Awesome. So we have been doing the conversion since 2017.
I gotta come visit. I'm going back to Europe next year. I just got back from Spain and Italy about 3 months ago. I was doing a lot of content there, and next year I'm gonna make the trip over to France. I haven't been to France in a while. I have to go. So Fleury, the close the.
We are testing the Pinot Noir right now, Bourgogne Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is 100% Pinot Noir from vineyards that we own and vineyards that we contract with growers in different parts of Burgundy. So it's an appellation, regional appellation, meaning the grapes are planted from vineyards planted in the Côte d'Or region, Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune, and also in the Côte Chalonnaise near Givry and Ruyi. So that's where it comes from.
Are you originally from Burgundy?
No, I was raised in the Loire Valley.
Okay,
yeah.
Beautiful wines too.
Yeah, beautiful wines, and France has a lot to offer. You are mentioning you wanted to visit. Well, we are actually very close to Paris. You take a train, in 1 hour and a half, you are in Dijon. And then you go from Dijon to the south, and you can finish your trip in Beaujolais.
We'll be in touch. Okay, this wine to me, again, represents a very, very good point of entry for people who want to explore Burgundy. Because here in Puerto Rico, we're more accustomed to Pinot Noir from the United States, which are more bombastic, more fruity, a little bit more sweet. But to me, this is elegance. At this price point, you get complexity, you get that lovely, lovely earthy note. You have that beautiful also like red tea, and you have the, to me, it's all about the soil. You smell a bit of absolutely. The soil. To me, this is the perfect, just like the Macon Village Chardonnay was the perfect entry point for people wanting to explore white Burgundy. This would be the perfect point of entry for those wanting to explore red Burgundy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's less than $20.
And it's $25 now. $25.
Yeah, it is definitely worth it.
But absolutely, it's a wine that, in my opinion, really showcases the Pinot Noir from Burgundy. There's no question, no brainer. You can blind taste this, and straight away you can tell this is from Burgundy. This is a Pinot Noir.
There's a whiff of pepper here. There's a whiff of mustard seed. There's for being a Bourgogne entry level wine, if you will, it's delicious because there's mystery in it. It's not like you get different sort of nuances on the nose. And that's what Burgundy is all about, like that mystery, right?
Yeah, and the terroir that you mentioned is here. The soil, you can taste it. The limestone, the clay that we have in Burgundy, it's perfect for Pinot Noir. And it's still light, but at the same time you have concentration and balance. So you have the red fruits, you have the tannin and the spice, and this is just beautiful on its own, or to pair with many different type of dishes. I love this with a burger, with even a red meat or stewed.
It's very good.
Meat,
I'm actually on a radio show every Friday, and today we're talking about Louis Jadot. I'm bringing 4 of your bottles. I spoke with Bernardo about that, so I'm bringing your wines to the radio. All right, what are we tasting next?
We are going to stay in Burgundy with the Pinot Noir. Next is the Nuit Saint-Georges 2015.
2015, my
God. So
look at that color. Look at that color.
So now we are in the Côte de Nuit. So the Côte de Nuit is in the northern part of Burgundy, in the Côte d'Or. And Nuit Saint-Georges is the village, meaning the grapes come from near the village of Nuit Saint-Georges. And we are quite present in the Nuit Saint-Georges area with vineyards holdings in the southern part of Nuit Saint-Georges.
There's still the technology isn't here yet, but if my audience, because they're listening to us, sometimes they see me when I do video, but if they could smell what I'm smelling. This is a 2015 Nuit Saint-Georges from Louis Jadot, and it's just marvelous. I mean, there's so much happening here, nose-wise, because that aging has sort of tamed a bit the intensity of the grape, and the elegance is there. What are you getting here on the nose?
So you're starting to see the developing notes of the Pinot Noir here, with somewhat the secondary aromas, more of the baking spice, the cinnamon, and also you have that kind of like herbal characteristics, which can happen on a warm vintage like 2015. It's almost quite jammy on the nose, but on the mouth it's still very fresh and light.
But I get all of that. I agree, I get it, but also I get that sensation of coming into a barn, of coming into a place where you keep animals. There's this salinity to it. There's this. It smells like life.
Yeah,
it smells like something that. Oh my God! There's some meaty notes as well. This is a lovely nose here.
Yeah, it's a wine that maybe you should decant to give it some time to open up.
A little bit of orange peel, a little bit of citrusy red fruit, if you will. It's fantastic, and it's velvety on the palate, very easy to drink.
Very smooth.
Yeah. Very smooth, very smooth. What makes a Pinot Noir, Burgundy Pinot Noir of this quality age so well?
Okay, so actually we are lucky with the past 10 years, I would say. In the past 10 years with global warming, which, it can be a good thing or a bad thing, for Burgundy it kind of helped because the Pinot Noir grape is it's a grape that needs the right temperature. It's a very thin skin grape, so you need the right temperature, you need the right climate. And in the past few years, we've seen rising temperature, which means the maturity levels of the Pinot Noir is higher than it used to be. And so you have higher maturity, so higher sugar, higher alcohol, somewhat higher, but still we're in the 13.5% range.
Unbelievable.
But then you also have the acidity, which is very present thanks to the soil we have here, which is mostly clay. So clay is a soil that can bring higher acidity levels into the Pinot Noir grape. So acidity with tannins and with the alcohol and the sugar means the wine can go on for many years.
And it's balanced. It feels balanced because you have everything integrated. The acidity is there, the red crunchy fruit. But here it's starting to develop this, and I've always said this when I drink fine Burgundy that's been, in the bottle for a while. I don't know whether to drink it or pour, or put it on my neck like perfume. It smells so incredibly elegant and sexy, right?
Yes, and I've seen some perfume makers create perfume based on the Pinot Noir scent, which is quite interesting.
It's so ethereal, and it feels so elegant.
Yeah, and we use oak. We use oak in our wines, in the reds and the whites. And actually, in 1996, we decided to purchase a barrel making facility.
Cooperage.
A cooperage, yes. And we have it since 1996. It's called Cadus. We create our own French oak barrels from 3 different forests, from individual staves, so each barrel is custom made.
We gotta come see this. Is there a hotel nearby the property?
So many hotels.
Nearby the property. I gotta come. All right, what's the next wine? Because we have like 7 minutes left.
Yeah, we will finish. We will go back to Beaujolais. We are going to one of the crus of the Beaujolais, Fleury. So Fleury is one of the 10 crus in Beaujolais. And this is from the label Chateau des Jacques. So Chateau des Jacques is our sister winery in Beaujolais.
Oh my God, the intensity of the nose here. I smell like gunpowder here. It's everything happening. Jesus, what a beautiful nose here. I love the...
So we have a Gamay grape, again Gamay, same as the Beaujolais village, but Fleury. So we are in one small area, one small cru within the Beaujolais area. So Fleury tends to be quite flowery, the name Fleury, like flower. Also very subtle notes of red berries, cherries. But yes, as you said, there's some earthy notes to it as well.
Yeah, it smells like the day after New Year's with that smokiness is there, and you have like that. Yeah. And I mean it in a good way. It's a smell that reminds me of festivities.
It does smell like the fireworks after
fireworks.
The fireworks.
It's flinty. It's
flinty.
iron. It's like when you put out a match, and in a good way, because it's stony. It takes me to the earth. Like Burgundy does something to me that always makes me think about the soil and the roots as the bloodstream of the earth. It's like, the circular system. We have veins, we have vessels, we have capillaries. And to me, wine is the blood of the planet. And all of these roots are like the veins of the planet. And it smells like it's literally coming out from the rock, from the soil, from a pot of soil. This is a lovely, lovely wine. What is the price point of this wine? Do you remember?
This would be maybe around $45 to $50.
This is a spectacular bottle of wine. This is probably the best Beaujolais Gamay I've had this year.
Wow,
for sure. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. What do you pair this with to wrap up?
All right, so I love the Fleury with any grilled meat, even like grilled chicken, even white meat, but also red meat, and pork as well. It's delicious. But with just a simple salad, like even a niçoise salad with tuna, for example, can go well with it. Or grilled salmon. That's really
I would pair this with tuna. You know that sometimes it's crusted with sesame seeds and a little bit of pepper on top, because it's got like a peppery finish.
Yep.
It's got a beautiful sort of herbaceous green in a good way. Green refreshing, not green underripe note to it. It's fantastic, my friend. Thank you so much. How can people follow you guys in social media?
Well, we have Instagram, Love Jadot. You can find it, or Louis Jadot as well. And then we have our importer co-brand that is posting quite a bit of content. And in Puerto Rico, V. Suarez is pretty. It's a good people, good distributor for us, and they are doing a great job to place these wines in the great stores and restaurants and hotels that I've seen in the past.
You guys are everywhere. You guys, thank you so much, Thibaut. Muchas gracias, mi gente. Estamos llegando ya al final de esta charla. Qué placer, qué privilegio. Prueben estos vinos. Son sencillamente espectaculares para aquellos de ustedes que quieren empezar a descubrir Borgoña. Borgoña tal vez es la región, la zona un poquito más complicada de entender, de poder descubrir, porque hay muchas, ¿verdad? Propiedades, data técnica, y creo que Louis Jadot hace un excelente trabajo en traer etiquetas a precios razonables. Mucha gente piensa que Borgoña solo es para la gente que tiene poder adquisitivo. Ya escucharon, hemos probado unos vinos que están entre 15 y 25 dólares, muy razonables. Vengan aquí al Hórreo de B. Suárez. Para aquellos de ustedes que me están escuchando en otras partes del mundo, les exhorto a que busquen la cabeza de Baco, el dios del vino. Es una botella icónica. La marca Louis Jadot es garantía de calidad. Y bueno, acá en Puerto Rico yo me despido de ustedes deseándoles lo mejor. Gracias a B. Suárez, gracias a El Hórreo de B. Suárez, gracias a Cobran por la oportunidad de seguir llevando contenido para los amantes del vino. Thibaut, I'm going to toast with you. Hope you enjoy your time in Puerto Rico.
Sí,
Thank you so much.
Gracias.